Greetings Internet and welcome to Aaron Plays, and I hope you're doing fantastically well. In this episode I'll be continuing my playthrough, or actually starting my playthrough of Caesar's legions. And yeah, effectively it's the first scenario, which is Caesar's conquest of Gaul, and this will be the first turn with Caesar entering the board. Now I've had a little conundrum, which was the tactical battle cards. I put out in the previous episode the question, anyone come up with ideas? And there was quite a few comments back, but I've evolved my own system. I'm going to be using a D20. One of these things. Okay, with one of these, a dice which has got shields and swords. There's 3 shields, there's 3 swords, and the standard D6. What I did was I looked at the tactical matrix, which I now can't find. It's on the back of the rule book. Okay, here. And there are 64 results. So I then did a little tally sheet to see how many -3s, -2s and such forth, and no combats. And once I had me tally, I was then able to split it as such into modifiers. So what it's saying is if I roll a 1 on the D20, that's a -3 on the actual combat result, all the way to a 20, which is a +3, because there's only 3 of the 64 results which are minus or +3. And then proportionally work that out. So there's on a 10, there is the NC, the no combat. 11s, so you've got the few zeros in the center there, and then you've got the pluses at the higher range and minuses at the lower range. What do I do with this one? With this, I've decided that if it's rolled, and if that symbol comes up, the attacker has the option to withdraw. And if the shield comes up, the defender has the option to withdraw. That's it. So I've done a couple of little test battles myself, and it seemed to sort of work. So yeah, I don't have to play with those cards. Yes, it's random because it's a D20, but it's not as random in my mind as the cards, which don't really make much sense. So that is just representing the tactical things that happen on the field. The other modifiers, such as Germans in the woods, or light infantry in the woods, sorry, Germans defending a temple, those modifiers still apply. That just provides what happened in the tactical situation. So let's go down to the map and let's see what's going on. Okay, so this is the situation. All of it, the action is going to be west of the Rhine. So we're looking at this border all the way along here. Remember, I've got to take all of those 6 white cubes. I'm coming in as the Romans at this red spot here. The Romans have got 6 legions with accompanying auxilia. And they haven't got dramatic movement, so I can't see that there will be much combat on the first turn. I mean, coming in here it's a wood hex. Now, I did say on these it can come in on within 2 of either side. So I think we're going to modify that now to incoming here. We don't. I mean, we could. Yeah, we'll modify it to here. So that is the actual entry hex we're going to use, and everything comes in on this turn, and everything is coming in at that point. So we have 4 movement points. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, we're not going to be able to engage those with the Legion infantry. The auxilia have got 4 as well. Though some of the cohorts have 5. Do we want to engage as hex? There's cavalry in there, and to actually enter a woods is 2. So I think on turn 1, we won't be engaged in combat, but we can take a village. So let's bring a whole legion in here. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, you can't even get to the village. No, these guys aren't that far, because you've always got to pay for the hex that you're coming in on. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We could move an auxilia into there. Not auxilia. Let's move a couple of cohorts to seize that village, leaving the legion with its eagle intact in that hex there. So I'm going to put these little cubes to knock over the Germans to show that I've taken one of the villages. So it's sitting in a little tray there. We need 6 in there. Okay, so that's the first legion in. Or in actual fact, it's designated. That's the 12th legion. 1x is the 9th legion. So it comes 1, 2, 3, 4. Into this point here. Then I'm going to bring the 1st and the 10th legion combined. I can stack 2 legions together in the clear, and they're going to have Caesar on them. This be the hammer, and that's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm assuming I don't have to pay because that legion's entered. Then the next one's got to pay double or an extra movement point to come on, because you won't get all of them on, and they've all got to come on. So there we go. So that's the big boy. 2 legions combined. Okay, I think I need to bring a legion down this way because we've got to take everything. So okay, so coming in here again, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, starting on its way south. One, 2, 3, 4, and the auxilia, I'm going to bring those at the back because they're going to be useful in the woods. Are they? No, they're not light infantry. They're allowed to me, so I can stack 1 legion plus 3 of these boys in the woods. So when we go to fight in the woods, they're going to be useful. I can stack 3 of them together with a legion. So let's bring, that's 1 legion now with its 3 auxilia. Big stacks. 1, 2, 3. That's called cheating. God blimey. Tempted just to spread them out right from square one. But we've got another 3. We'll go south. I'll start heading south with that legion. Maybe I should just put the eagles on the map and have an off map box. That's 6, and I'm going to keep the cavalry at the back as a reactionary force. Or am I? Maybe not. No. Let's actually bring that in, the cavalry in, with this legion here. So that's it. Because the stacking limit for the Romans, I went through this in the previous video, but we'll go through it again, doesn't hurt. All right, so all terrain except for woods is 2 legions or their equivalents in cohorts, or 1 legion plus 3 auxiliary counters, or 3 auxiliary counters. So I've got the auxiliary stacked with the legions, ready to go. So that's the Romans done. So now that we have the Romans on remember the Germans I set up before the Romans, I didn't know where the Romans were going to be. So now we can start to react to that juggernaut. Well, there's no point these guys hanging around there, is there? Because that just looks like an offerings of disaster. So I think we're going to pull these guys back. They are cavalry, so they can move quite quickly. So I'm actually going to move them out here. Now that's swamp terrain. I don't think cavalry can go in swamp terrain. Rough wood swamp. Cavalry are prohibited, so there's no point putting cavalry there. So I'm going to move them back. 1, 2. Now cavalry in woods is 3. One, two, three, four. They're out of the range of the Romans at present. So that's fine. I'm quite happy with the garrison here. Now, what we're going to do with these. There's no actual woods around here, because the woods is the best terrain for the Germans. But now that we know the Romans are coming in there, we can sort of move these to here, ready to impact whatever the Romans do. I don't see any point in occupying this position. We are occupying that. And now that we know that the Romans aren't coming in mob-handed down here, it's worth these guys, right at the extreme of the board, reoccupying these villages. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 into there. Again, no combat. So that, I think, ends the first turn. That wasn't too painful. So we go up to here. Turn 2. Well, I was only going to do 1 turn per video, but hey, that was quite quick. So we'll do a second turn, and then we'll call it the end. And when we did do the setup. So now, what do the Romans do? They got a massive dudes in that woods. There's a village to the south here they need to take, and in my mind, I mean, that's the furthest village. If they can take that and then start working their way down the board. Remember, there's no reinforcements in this. That's going to be the big struggle, because the best the Romans can get onto that hex is 3 to 2. And that's flaky. But we've got to deal with this first. Because if we don't deal with that, and we can send everything up here, they can start coming back. So let's move up to the Romans there. To the Germans. Woods is 2 for infantry, I think. Light infantry is 1. All others is 2. Oh, cavalry is 3. Well, cavalry's down here. So let's move them. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're not 1, 2, 3, 4. We're not going to get in combat this turn. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. No. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hello. I'm going to leave those 2 coal. Where do we need to leave 2? We could leave 1 there and put that back to one of them back to its division, to its legion. 1, 2. Because this was the legion here. That remember, these are 10 cohort legions. So a legion is that 45 counter and 2 of the 5 5s. is a full legion. We are going to leave that there as a garrison. Is that enough of a garrison? Don't know, we shall see. And then we'll send Caesar 1, 2, 3, 4 on his way to deal with Aravistus. Now we've got 2 more legions down here, which is going to start to deal with 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. So again, no battle from the Roman point of view. Back to the Germans. Now, is there anywhere worth attacking for the Germans? They're not very strong. Remember, the most they can stack in a hex is 4 counters, unless it's a village. So this legion here has got a strength of 45 plus 10, 55. So it's not like you can move counters around. You've got to go into the hex to attack. So that 55 can be attacked by a maximum of 4 German counters, which isn't much in this kind of terrain, or in the open, which is, they've got 2 10-4s there. There's no zones of control, so it might be worth here, where we've got cavalry, and they're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They can go and engage that cohort. They have got quite, again, the maximum stacking limit is 4. Anything to slow the Romans down. So let's do that. Maybe I left that village too weak. The cavalry go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And we could send another cavalry out from there, because remember it's 4 counters, which will be 1, 2, oh no, wait, crossing that river is another movement point, so it's 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so we actually have a combat from there. So I'm just going to mark the hex. Is there any other movement I want to do? Remember, it's 4 counters per hex. So yeah, let's put that light infantry on there. Let's put that light infantry on there. And we've still got 2 cavalry here. So I'm going to move that cavalry out of the woods. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. To maybe start posing a threat over this side of the board. Carrying on moving. We want to move. We want to leave a garrison there. Do we want to leave 2? We'll leave 1, 10, 4. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4 into there, and moving these guys 1, 2, 3, 4 to there. And light infantry will actually make that 5. So we've got a garrison back here in that village, and then we've got a garrison in that village. And do we want to move anything in the central area? I think we're quite happy with that at the present moment. The Romans have got things to do there. So that concludes the movement phase for the Germans. Our first combat phase, with the Germans attacking this garrison. The odds are, well, we've got, let's actually put any combat up here. So we've got 10, 20, attacking 5. So the odds are 4 to 1. Modifiers, it's in the open, and it's a legion, so the defense, so it's -1. Okay, so -1, and there's no other terrain effects. It's in a village. Sorry, not. Yeah, there's no other effects other than that. So it's a -1 for that. It's the Germans attacking, so I'm going to be using a yellow die with a d20 and that sword, and it's the first round. Okay. Okay, 20 to 4 is 4 to 1. Sorry, 25 is 4 to 1. And then we roll the dice. So let's go to the little dice tower. And let's see what we actually get here. Right, so the result is a 3, little 7, and defender has the option to withdraw if they've got anything left. So let's have a look at the actual combat results. There was a -1 because it's a legion in technically the open. So we've got 4 to 1. The base result is a 3, -1 for a 2 because of the odd, and then that little 7, looking at my from the tactical matrix, is a 0 modifier. Okay, so it's a net 2 at 4 to 1 is a DL2. Defending units are eliminated. Two defending units are eliminated. Well, there's only one defending unit, so it's eliminated. If the result had anything available, the legion could have withdrawn. That's the way I'm reading the table, and any comments will be much appreciated in what your thoughts are. So in that village, we have our first loss, and I'm going to keep losses near the what do you call it, the turn record track, so I can record what actual losses were taken. So that village has been retaken by the German cavalry. Now, the way I'm looking at that is they're not going to hold it for long, but anything the Romans have got to come back to do means they're not going that way. So that's the thought, and that will be explored further on the Roman turn 3. But that concludes the German turn 2, which concludes the turn completely. So moving the turn record track, dice out of the way, you can see I've got a little meeple there. We're going into turn 3, which we will do in the next video. Let's go back up to where I am. Okay, it's a little bit dry. I understand that. I fully believe this is and what I've read, this is a teaching scenario. There's not many options for either side, really. I think it's just going to be a move, fight, until one side runs out of bits, basically, and then the mopping up. We've done 2 turns though, so the Romans have got only 10 turns still, and they have no villages because of that little counterstroke. So I think it's from the Germans' point of view, is harassment, slow the Romans down, fight them where they can, holding those villages right at the edge of the board there, because I'm looking at the amount of time it's going to take. 1, 2, 3, 4, so that's turn 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, turn 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, turn 5, turn 6, 1, 2. It's going to take them to turn 7 to get right down the bottom there, where the last village is. Which, okay, that still leaves them 5 turns to take it, I suppose. but there's still a wodge of Germans in the middle there they've still got to deal with. So, yeah. Did I enjoy that? That is a very good question. Yes, from an exercise of learning the game and the system. It's not rocking my boat. I mean, you know, if someone said, okay, there you go, there's Tarawa and there's Caesar's legions, which would I take? Tarawa, thank you very much. Ambush, thank you very much. However, this is a great game to teach, you know, to teach someone who has no concept of war games at all. You know, 5 pages of fundamental rules. Here we go. These are hexes. That's a woods hex. And these are the combat strengths, and this is how you work out odds and such. So for actually teaching someone who's never played any of these games, this is good. What I've seen so far. So and then the way it adds rules later on. I haven't read any of the additional rules as yet for what is added in scenario 2. Scenario 3, I did have a comment. Someone said that there's hidden movement in one of them. I can see there is a hidden movement chart. And I've also noticed there's a naval combat chart. So there's a lot more to be added to this bare bones. But even with this basic scenario, if you wanted to introduce someone to hex and counter games, this would be great because it is so straightforward. From my point of view, and maybe from your point of view from watching it, you might think, yeah, could do with a bit more. But if you've got any buddies out there who haven't touched these kind of games, this might be one to pick up. It's relatively cheap. There are lots of copies out there. And it plays, as you just saw, I've done 2 turns and it was very, very quick. All right, once we get into maybe the bigger battles with more options, yeah, the turns will slow down a bit. But then again, once the losses start accumulating, the turns will speed up because there's less pieces to move. So until we get to that point, we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, any comments about what I'm using here? I'm going to probably do a proper print up of this and such forth if it works at the end of this game, because obviously I want to move this forward. I do want to play the other 4 scenarios at present. I don't know, maybe at the end of this I'll go. I doubt it though, because what looks like coming up is also quite interesting. So yeah, so let me know in your comments what you think of me using a D20 with that little matrix I worked out there, and the option to withdraw. Remember, there are other options on the actual thing, which is on the actual combat results table. There's a no effect, which means the battle over, and there's also on the 10 on the D20 there is also an NC, which is no combat. So I hope I've covered most of the options on there, but any thoughts, as I say, add them to the comments, and also let me know what you think. You know, we've only done 2 turns. We've had a little German foray into the rear of the Romans. Any strategical suggestions you guys could make, I'll try and implement them on the board. That's what the comment section's for again. So play games, have fun. Until next time, bye internet. Didn't work.